What is going on, guys? Nathan, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys have had an amazing day. Today we are talking about the minimum requirements needed for your PC in order to handle Infinite Warfare. So everything I'm going to be talking about is taken directly from GameDebate.com, and usually they have right on point information and it's all legit most of the time. So it is a trustworthy website. That's why I'm actually taking it from there. I'm not 100% sure if this is actually confirmed, but just because of the fact that this is GameDebate, I'm going to take their word for it. And I'm just comparing the graphics of Infinite Warfare, for as much as we know so far, to Black Ops 3. And as you guys probably know, they look about the same. So given that, I actually do trust this source at the moment. So I'll leave the link in the description below for the minimum requirements according to GameDebate. Now let's get right into this. After comparing it side by side to Black Ops 3, it turns out that it's about the same thing when it comes to minimum requirements. So kicking the specs off with the Intel side of things, with the Core i3 530 clocked at 2.9 gigahertz. Even though it's kind of old, it handled Black Ops 3 just fine, so obviously it's probably going to handle this just fine as well. Now moving on to the AMD side of things, we have the Phenom 2X4810. Now there's no specification on which gigahertz it should be clocked at, but we'll just find out as time goes by. Now moving on to the GPU, on the NVIDIA side we have the GeForce GTX 740, and on the AMD side we have the Radeon HD 6970. Now moving on to the hard drive space, it's going to take you about 60 gigabytes, and as time goes on, we obviously see that games are taking more and more space. I think Black Ops 3 took about 66, so this is kind of surprising that this takes a little bit less. If not 66, Black Ops 3 definitely took about 50, but I'm pretty sure it took about 66 if I'm not mistaken. Minimum OS, you would actually need Windows 10 64-bit. As far as DirectX goes, you would need DirectX 11. Now, I saved the RAM for last because this is kind of a rising question. It says 6 gigabytes of RAM, and now I know that you can actually play, Black Ops 3 easily on 4 gigabytes of RAM if you guys have some decent specs otherwise. But keep in mind, these are already bare minimum specs as is, and with 6 gigabytes, I honestly don't recommend that, even though it's on GameDebate. I would highly recommend you guys, if you guys get the chance, please go with 8 gigabytes. Don't go with 6 gigabytes because it really does help out, especially if you guys are multitasking, if you guys have dual monitors, and let's just say you guys even have one monitor, right? If you guys have 8 gigabytes, it'll actually run much smoother and it won't be as choppy, so keep that in mind. But yeah, that's the minimum requirements. Now the GD adjusted requirements, it is the Core 2 Quad Q6600 2.4 gigahertz on the Intel side. On the AMD side, it's the Phenom 9650 quad core, no gigahertz specified once again. For the GPU, it's the GeForce GTX 560 Ti on the NVIDIA side, and for the AMD side, it's the Radeon HD 5870 124 megabytes. Once again, the RAM, for some reason it says 6 gigabytes as minimum requirements, or not the minimum requirements, the adjusted requirements, but once again, I recommend 8 gigabytes. And basically everything else is the same. The Windows would be Windows 7 64-bit for minimum, or adjusted rather, DirectX 11, and 60 gigabytes of hard drive space. Now for the recommended requirements on the Intel side, we have the Core i5 2500K clocked at 3.3 gigahertz. And on the AMD side, we have the FX 8120 with no specified gigahertz once again. On the NVIDIA side of the GPU, we have the GeForce GTX 760, 4 gigabytes specifically. And on the AMD side, we have the Radeon R9 270X Sapphire Dual X 4 gigabytes edition. So now moving on to the RAM, which I more agree with. It says 8 gigabytes, so that's pretty cool. And everything else is basically the same thing. Windows 7 64-bit, DirectX 11, and 60 gigabytes of hard drive space. So that about does it. We're getting a basic gist about what this game is all about, specifically, graphics wise. So just keep in mind, if your PC can handle Black Ops 3 fine, then I'm pretty sure it can handle Infinite Warfare just fine as well when it does eventually come out. So guys, don't really worry about upgrading your PC parts too much unless you guys are really dying to. It really doesn't require too much, as we see right here. And if you guys have seen the trailers, it doesn't really look as graphically demanding as some other games out there, for example Battlefield. So just keep that in mind. And also the factor of optimization does really come into play. Obviously Battlefield is a bit more better customized, or optimized rather, but we'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, here's just a basic understanding of what it could be like for the minimum requirements. Once again, I'll leave the link down in the description below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you guys did, please leave that like, please subscribe if you guys want to, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Hanging by a thread, hung upon all the words you said, breaking free from this conformity that you force on me. Everything I do is one big show.